Hello there, Reverend Michael McMorrow coming to you from the sanctuary at the Center for Spiritual Living in Granada Hills, California, a place where we welcome all who practice their beliefs in faith and love. And it is our Wednesday night Get Real and Heal meditation evening, and I'm joined by one of our new practitioners, the lovely Beverly Scott, and we'll be hearing from her in just a moment. But before we get to that, we're going to start our service the way we start every service here by asking Beverly to man her station at the candles while Renzen brings down the lights, and we're going to take a deep conscious breath and release. Just allow ourselves to surrender to this eternal now moment as we recognize and know that this is our call to service, which we call lighting the flames of faith. And we perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples, all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence, which we call Spirit. That fundamental to this truth is the unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here this evening. So as Beverly lights the first candle, it's for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light the second candle for shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. We light the third candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light the fourth candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light the fifth candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. The sixth candle we light for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. The seventh candle we light for all forms of Islam, honoring the paths of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. We light the eighth candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We light the ninth candle for all forms of new thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. The 10th candle we light for all those who are as yet unaware of the power and presence of Spirit in their lives, and for the space we hold for them here in our sanctuary, within our online community, and of course, within our own hearts. And as Beverly lights the healing candle, let's just call to mind anyone in your life, even yourself, who may need healing of some kind in body, mind, or spirit, and say their name aloud or place it silently into the light now, the names of anyone you wish to have experienced the healing flame of God's eternal love.
I'm thankful, so grateful. I'm one with the Spirit all around me. I'm thankful, so grateful. I trust in God. I surrender, I surrender. I'm one with the Spirit all around me.
As we take this time to turn within, to experience this space and time of surrender and acceptance of who we are and where we are. We're here because of the love that is inside of each and every one of us, the love of God. God is love. I am love. We are love. We base in this knowledge because it brings such peace, and it encourages us to go forth, to share this great love, to bring forth the light that is in each and every one of us, to speak a word for those who are experiencing sickness, doubt, a broken heart, loneliness. We bring forth the truth that we are all one, and in love, we all can feel the energy, the essence of life. We lift up our minds and our hearts to be aware, to understand, and to know that the divine presence that we are is the substance, the source of all our good. I speak a word for Reverend Mike, our spiritual director, who enlightens us and encourages us and brings forth what is needed to fulfill and make us stronger in all that we do. I speak a word for myself and my fellow practitioners, for the congregants that attend our service and that's a part of our community. And I release my word of truth and love to the high power of law, and I stand in accepting and the knowing of the divinity and the truth of the results and the answer that is to be revealed to us. Father, Mother God, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for this time and the space to be the light that each and every one of us are. Thank you, and let us affirm, and so it is.
And so it is.
Amen. We've made it to the middle of the week, Wednesday. And I'm glad to be here, and I do know and hold that we all are happy to be here. I want to share a thought that came to me after many thoughts that I had that I wanted to speak on. But my morning, like every morning, started out with my routines, which is necessary, and I love my spiritual rituals, reading, meditating, drinking my coffee, and just being with self. And then there was some activity that required my attention. And it threw me off, but then I had to regroup. And in regrouping, I took a walk. Much of my meditation works walking, being in nature, being out. And what came to me was accepting what is. One of the most potent teachings I've embraced in the last couple of years is to surrender and accept what is. Anything outside of myself is not subject to my ability to control, or even, though I often wish I could, but it's out of my control because I can only control what I can do. And this is true with all of us, but I find it hard, and I'm getting better, to relinquish because I feel this need. My passion is to do what is mine to do, but there are times when I don't really know what is mine to do, and I wind up becoming an enabler. I sometimes step out of line and just make things worse than what it is. So, accepting what is can mean a lot to different people, different situations. But to me, it's accepting that I can do what I can do. I'm thankful to be accepting of life just the way it is and just the way it is not. I'm gratefully letting go and letting God. When I think about the things that we encounter that really is not much that can be done. We can offer encouragement. We can even draw a map and point the pitfalls. But at the end of the day, each individual must and has to accept and do what is theirs to do. For me, and I go to it often, I was speaking with Reverend Mike, and it's ironic that he brought it up in the course of the conversation we had. The serenity prayer, not directly, but indirectly. I knew exactly this is what was being conveyed to me. And the serenity prayer also comes to mind when I think about accepting what is. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And you may ask, why am I focusing on accepting what is? Because I am experiencing something that I really cannot do anything about other than be loving, a listener, and accepting what is. While it may be easier said than done, acceptance is letting go and knowing divine life is always working for us, not against us. That is so assuring to me. I need to repeat this often over the last few months. I've been in denial, but I am aware and awake. I want to share Michael A. Singer says, acceptance means events can make it through you without resistance. Accept, don't resist. Ernest Holmes says, acceptance and realization are mental qualities. and may be consciously generated. That is a strong statement and a truth, and I know it well now. With gratitude, I bless the person I was. With faith, I reach encumbered for the person I'm becoming by accepting what is. I leave you with the meditation thoughts on accepting what is, whatever may be going on in your life, whatever the situation may be. You can only do what you can do. And it is okay accepting what is. Love, peace, and harmony. Thank you. I would.
Thank you, Beverly. Let's give her some love at home on the channel. And so you want to take your seat and we'll get into the meditation part. I'm going to just riff on something you were just speaking to because that is a very powerful prayer, but one that religious scientists might resist a little bit. The idea of accepting, things we cannot change. Well, in the moment, that's true. Right? And our point of power is in the moment. So we accept the things we cannot change, and then to not play games with ourselves, to understand that there are things that we can change, and that there is a power and a presence, a living intelligence, the creative impulse of life itself that's backing our play in our endeavor. And then tomorrow, the thing that felt like we couldn't change and had to accept it is in fact the thing we have the courage to change. So you can see it's always this constant law of circulation that is going on. So there's a great story in Mark Nepo's book, The Book of Awakening. And it's a story about how salmon, the life cycle of the salmon, in particular when they come in from the ocean, they're making their way up the rivers and into the streams from which they were hatched and raised as fingerlings and small steelhead or whatever, a small salmon in fresh water, and then they make their way to the ocean. And then they make their way back. And how salmon, their bodies get completely battered from hitting the rocks and the gravel and the boulders and until they learn that where the water has its most resistance is where there are no obstacles, where the way is straight. And I love that metaphor, right? Because often, particularly as religious scientists, whether we're working with affairs of the heart or health concerns or, wrestling with things on the job in our careers, or maybe even trying to establish a career path, maybe feeling the frustration of not being able to find a place to live, whatever it is in the modern life, right? There's a lot of stuff going on, right? That if we can move into the place where we feel like there's resistance, it may be that that's a path that has the least obstacles to it, and that we can have the courage to change the things we can, knowing that this infinite power and presence of the divine is backing our play in every way, one day at a time, one moment at a time, and that we are co-creating this experience with it every time we turn our attention that way. So good stuff, Beverly. Thank you. Today's the 18th, yeah? Yeah. So this from the book we're working with, the 365 Science of Mind. I will be glad and rejoice in thy mercy, for thou hast considered my trouble. Thou hast known my soul in adversity. This coming from Psalms. That's right from the ancient Hebrews themselves, right? I now realize there is but one mind, one presence. In the universe, this presence is God, pure, absolute, unadulterated spirit. This divine presence being everywhere and filling all space must be in me. It must be that which I really am. I recognize it is in me, and it is that which I am. And that's true for everyone else too, particularly those characters who are not exhibiting the perfection of their reality, right? I let this recognition of my indwelling divinity flow through my entire consciousness. Yeah, so let's just do that. Breathe into that. I let this recognition of my my indwelling divinity flow through my entire consciousness. The one spirit, the all spirit, flowing through our entire mind, our entire consciousness, our entire body. I let it reach down into the very depths of our being. I rejoice in my divinity. Again, I affirm that the divine presence fills all space, including myself. I am full of God, therefore I am filled with light. Infinite intelligence governs every move. All-wise counselor accompanies me at all times. The Spirit of the Almighty. Man, this is powerful stuff tonight. As the light dispels darkness, so this truth, which I now affirm, dissipates all fear. It breaks down every doubt, casts out all uncertainty. It loses every sense of bondage within my mind. I'm releasing any attachment to old ideas that no longer serve me. It stimulates my imagination with visions of peace, joy, and abundance, and directs my will towards the accomplishment of my desires. Good job, Ernie. Good one tonight. So just feel that for a moment. The all presence that God is filling us, filling every space within us. Now, this is kind of an interesting idea because, you know, the quantum physicists tell us that even in an atom, it's mostly space. Very little of it is matter. In fact, in some kind of weird way, even matter is mostly empty space at the quantum level, which is pretty trippy, right? And so we are mostly space filled now in our conscious awareness in this moment, filled now with the allness of the divine. So for those of you out there, particularly friends of mine who are close to me, who are often on, I know that you're working through health stuff. The allness of the divine is filling every empty space within you, within me. For those who are in need of creative ideas to try and figure out how to make this life work with the resources available today, that we are knowing that the infinite power and presence of the divine is filling every space. It is within all thought. We are now downloading creative ideas, dynamic ideas that up until now hadn't occurred to us, that we're leaving every stone, we're turning over every stone. Those ideas always, no, it can't be that. Yeah, we're going back to that. Turn that stone over, knowing that the allness of the divine is there too. Where we have relationships that maybe may have some discord in them, that we're knowing that the allness of the divine is in that. is in them, is in us, is in the space between us, that we find ourselves, right, back to love. We step away from fear, the concerns of the self, justifying itself. I'm speaking in healthy ways, of course. Right? Because the allness of the divine is there too. So, maybe we should make that the theme for our meditation tonight. That with every breath, we are breathing in the allness of the divine, that it's commingling with the allness of the divine, and we're just releasing all the funk that no longer serves us, just releasing it, just as easily as breathing. There's nothing to do but breathe. We're breathing in radiant good health just by breathing. We're breathing in prosperity and positive cash flow, new and creative ideas, and not only the ideas, but the power to see them through just by breathing. Because the allness of the divine is commingling with the allness of the divine within. We're taking that which we need and releasing that which no longer serves. And that's all we're doing in this meditation tonight. So let's just take a deep conscious breath. Release. I think the Rev had some caffeine a little too late today, some kind of way. All right? That's okay. That just, my mind will be busy, yours will be calm. All right, so we're just going to stay with the breath. Oh, I just felt a nice, big, delicious breath of the divine reinvigorating my body. Renzen's back there laughing at me right now. Maybe you're laughing at home. But feel it. Feel that joy, man. Mix some of that in there too. You know, God's not a sourpuss. Why should we be? So we just bring our attention to the breath, to the movement of the breath within the nostril. That could feel like pressure, hot, cold. And so with each exhale, we just feel ourselves release just a little, just a wee bit more. Take a deep breath and release. And on the exhale, paying attention now to the exhale, we go even deeper in that relaxed state. Where we allow the body to still, but the mind is focused. The exhale. So bringing ourselves gently back into the room, staying with the breath. Knowing the truth that we are breathing in the allness of the divine into every space within us. We see that spark of the divine, a flame of divinity within our heart center. That we fan this flame now with each in-breath. This flame growing into a fire that is radiant, illuminates rather than consumes. A ball of divine fire within our very heart center. Staying with the breath, knowing that this globe of divine light continues to expand and to grow with each exhale. So expanding now beyond the body, torso, side to side, front to back, top to bottom. We feel this radiance of energy, of light, of love that is activating every space within the body temple. Is now activated with the light, the power, the peace, the serenity, the health, the truth. The living spirit, staying with the breath, extending now beyond the fingertips. This light continues to be circulated in through our heart center, that we are feeling our heart opening. We feel our mind opening, that we are open at the top to a divine download of new and creative and dynamic ideas. That the very room in which we're sitting in now is alive with the energetic of the living spirit. That every space is filled with the divine, every space of all that we are, both in body and mind, is the activated spirit of light and love itself. That this spirit now, bound by nothing on this earth plane, that is commingling energetically with those who are joining us in this meditation here tonight, that we feel a sense of connectedness with the allness and oneness of the universal spirit. We are knowing this in the places where it feels, where it seems, where the reporting says that God is not. We're knowing that the living intelligence, the infinite power and presence of the divine is expressing even now as loving kindness and compassion. So we bring forward our own intentions for this evening, our own needs for healing, the healing of our friends, in body, mind, and spirit, for ourselves in body, mind, and spirit, as we know together that there is but one power, one presence, one source, one life of the divine that is both impressing and expressing itself in, through, and as all of life, in, through, and as our life. That we are one with it. And so we take a deep breath, and we release our concerns, our cares, our intentions, our knowing of of peace, love, compassion with all beings, particularly those whom share our life, that we're releasing all of it. And in that release, we know that every atom, every molecule, every cell, every organ, every muscle, every bone, every neuron, every tissue is activated now at an atomic level by this infinite power and presence of the divine, which is love itself expressing, so that we feel a sense of vitality, of enoughness, of feeling loving, of feeling loved, of knowing that we are, by means of consciousness, a healing presence in the world, where the infinite power and the presence of the living Spirit is upon us. We are allowing ourselves now to be transmuter of good by means of the power of the divine working in, through, and as our life. So we take a deep breath. And we release this truth, all cares, concerns, intentions, to that aspect of the mind, of the divine itself that knows only to say, yes, my beloved, yes. In you I am well pleased. So we'd feel a deep sense of gratitude of knowing this truth for ourselves and for our loved ones. And so we leave here tonight knowing that we have been shifted and lifted in consciousness to a new state of being. And as we make our way through the rest of this evening, we arrive home safely and in good order. That as we make our way to our beds this evening and our head hits the pillow, we drop off easily, effortlessly to sleep, sleeping deeply, restfully, dreaming sweet dreams, feeling a sense of an awakening, a sense of restoration and replenishment, an excitement for the day, for we know that the Lord is with us, that the law is with us. Taking one more deep breath, just releasing all of this now with deep gratitude and confidence, knowing it is done, knowing it is so. Together we acknowledge this by saying, and so it is, Amen. So, thank you for joining us this evening on behalf of Beverly and myself, Renzen and even Evan tonight in the back. We'd just like to thank you for joining us. If you want to support our center, support this meditation service, you can hit the donate button on our YouTube channel there. And if this is your first time visiting us, hit the subscribe button and hit that bell. You'll get a notification when we are live, which will be at 10:30 on this Sunday, when Reverend Nancy Woods is going to be filling in for me, and Reverend Nicole Robbins will be doing the 9 a.m. service. So there's two of your local favorites, and I'm going to be down in Redondo. While we know that Dr. Moira is on the mend with her medical condition that she's on the right side of, along with our other loved ones within our own community. So, again, thank you for joining us. Peace and blessings, and we'll see you next time.